Hello, happy Wednesday. Jewel here. How are you? Today I'm going to surprise you with something that you will not probably expect to get from me or to hear from me. And so here's what it is. I'm going to show you how the best way to throw a pity party for yourself, which I highly recommend, is. And I know that sounds silly, but what if you take everything that is causing you discontent, every regret, every pain, everything that has been done to you that is wrong, everything that has happened to you that should never have happened, and you give yourself a few hours to just sit. I wouldn't go more than a few hours, but to just give yourself a pity party and to just let yourself feel all that anger and frustration and hurt and pain and all the things. A lot of times we are so brainwashed into everything needs to be positive and everything needs to be good. And so if I am not positive all the time, there's something wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong, right? So when that happens, we are now hiding behind a shield, some sort of a facade, trying to brainwash ourselves. And I know a lot of people, they think that my main concept that I want to share with the world is positivity. Well, actually, it's truth, right? The healing comes from an embracing of the truth. And so by denying the fact that we have anger and frustration and we feel alone or we feel isolated or we feel overwhelmed, by denying all that, we're actually just keeping it in our body, really hurting ourselves. And a lot of people recently that I have worked with have this tendency. And as they're telling me something that's not quite right, they say, oh, but, and then they come with some kind of positivity shield so that they don't need to actually admit to themselves that this is what's happening within them. So I'm here to tell you that doesn't work. It actually just, remember the dam that we talk about, right? And so if we were to look at these feelings, look at these emotions, look at these messages as water, and we're not allowing the water to just flow naturally because we're so resistant. We think it's wrong to feel this, or we think it's wrong to think this way, and it's wrong to actually just sometimes just feel sorry for ourselves. And so we don't want to get stuck there. But when we allow it, it doesn't get stuck. When we allow it, it continues to flow through naturally, organically, the way that our emotional operating system has been designed for. So when we pretend it's not happening, or we create this shield of positivity, we're actually, that's building a dam. And all those feelings then are getting bottled up, bottled up, bottled up. And we can't figure out why we're not really quite okay. We can't figure out why our body is starting to get mad at us. We can't figure out why we're not sleeping, why we're having panic attacks, why we're having anxiety attacks, and all those things. It's because we're pretending that these real feelings don't exist. So let's stop pretending, okay? Okay, so we are going to give ourselves permission at some point in this next week, and let me know how it goes. At some point in this next week, we're going to give ourselves permission to throw ourselves a pity party. And I know it sounds silly, but we're going to do it anyway because it's important. It's important for us to allow ourselves to feel. And you may even have a cleansing experience of tears and just allowing that stress, that cortisol, that stuck emotion, just allow it all out. Now, here's how we're going to do that in a way that isn't harmful. Okay, so stay with me. All right, so I've made some notes here of a sequence that I would recommend, and whatever that inspires for you, go ahead and do what your intuition, what your nervous system is asking of you. But here's how I would take it step by step. Okay, so first of all, have the pity party, set time aside, have a beginning and have an end. And set a timer if you want to. If you're the kind of person that gets so caught up that if you don't have a timer, you'll get stuck there, right? And then allow yourself time to feel. Now that can be hard to do on demand. So I have a few rim-like leading sentences for you. And I think that this would be a good way for you to sort of allow yourself to begin to have the feelings, acknowledge the feelings, and then notice how once we do that, they dissipate. And their strength and their potency and the venom inside them when we're pretending they aren't there, that venom will dissipate when we say, okay, I am angry, I am unhappy, I am frustrated, I'm so mad that all those things happened to me that were not my fault, that took away my control, that disempowered me. All those things happened to me. I get to be angry. So let's set an appointment with that. And let's go ahead and feel the grief, the sadness, the anger, the frustration, all the things, the hurt. Okay. All right. So here are some ideas on how to allow yourself to do that. You can do a thought purge, and that would be my go-to, actually, would be to sit and just allow myself a thought purge on how I feel or on how everything that was done to me, how wrong that was. It was wrong. It was not right. It was not okay. And a thought purge will allow you to get all of that out of your system and put it on paper. Okay, so when you're in your full-fledged pity party and it's you and all your feelings, all your emotions. Okay, number one, you can say this or you could write it down as well. So number one, I would do a thought purge and get a whole bunch of what's lurking beneath that surface. I would get that out and expose it. Then I would go ahead and do these leading sentences. Just complete them either out loud or write them down. Okay, so the first one would be, what I'm most angry about right now is. What I'm most hurt by right now is. And how it feels for me to acknowledge this. And the hardest thing about acknowledging this and facing it is, and what it's like for me to find and to feel all this anger and pain is. What I wish I could change about that is. And what I wish I could change about what happened to me is. And as I say this out loud, and how I choose to support myself differently now, moving forward, is. So that last one, I would keep that for the end of this appointment that we set for ourselves, this pity party appointment. Okay, so I would, how to support myself differently how I choose to support myself differently moving forward. That's going to be kind of an end of the feeling process. So, so if you need to split those up, I hope I gave you enough time to write those down. If not, just go ahead and pause the video and do it that way. Okay, so now we've had the pity party that we've set time aside for. We've gone into the thought purge concept where we're getting it all out. Then we've done some leading sentences. Actually, you know what? I think I will type those out and put them in the comments below for you. So now we have that. And then after the very last one, the how I choose to support myself differently moving forward, after that, I would like to encourage you to do what I call compassionate breathing. And I know I did a video about this forever ago, so I'll just give you a little recap. So compassionate breathing is where we breathe in love and then we send it out. We send the love out. Okay, and kindness and peace, right? So we bring in love and we send it out. We bring in peace and we send it out. We bring in joy and we send it out. That's the usual for compassionate breathing, right? That's the whole compassion. We breathe in compassion, we send it out. So I would do that for a certain amount of time, except instead of sending it out, send it backwards to the version of you that could really use that right now. The joy, the peace, the kindness, the support, the compassion. So this is a little bit like the concept of writing letters to your past selves. And if you haven't done that yet, grab that document and allow yourself to enter into that exercise. This will be more of a less kind of written format. This will be more of an internal format. So you're going to breathe in compassion, and then you're going to send it to yourself at whatever age you needed it. Maybe it's all of them. Maybe it's your entire life up until now. Okay, so that would be my next step. Okay, so real quick. So we have the pity party. We set an appointment with a beginning and an end. We do the thought purge, and then we do the leading sentences, and then we do the compassionate breathing. Okay, so now you've sent your self-compassion and your past selves compassion in all the different ways, the peace, the kindness, the understanding, the support. And then just allow yourself to be in that moment and to be in this moment now. So you've allowed yourself to feel, maybe even to cry or scream or yell. So you've gotten all that out. You've also gotten it out through the thought purge, the written word. And then you've done the leading sentences. And now it's time for compassion, for kindness, for peace, for love. And to really expand those, because those are at the core of our wholeness. And the ultimate goal is to return to the wholeness that we came into this world with, right? Okay, so then I'm going to have us do one more thing. And this is from Mary Morrissey, from my studies with her. And so I'm going to read this to you, but I'll preface it with 3 words that will change your life up until now. And many of you have heard me use these 3 words very specifically in our work together, especially my one-on-one clients. So up until now, this was true about me, but now, right? So when we do that, and actually my private clients, what we do is we create a list and we write them down, and we're very specific about it, because a lot of times we have belief systems about where we're at or where we're not at right now, and we don't We don't like it, but we have this belief system that we're stuck here. Okay, so using these 3 words is going to be so, so powerful. Okay, up until now. And when we use the words up until now, say it out loud with me, up until now. When you say those words, it's like you're closing a chapter, you're closing a book, right? Up until now. And then you open a new book, but now. Okay, so I'm going to read you what Mary Morrissey says about that. So we all have patterns of thinking that are less than who we really are, right? They're not coming from our wholeness within. We learned them as kids, or we learned them because something happened and we began to believe something about ourselves that produced a limiting experience. So this is what we talk about when we're talking about limiting beliefs, right? So now we're being limited because of this experience, or because our belief about this experience. Okay, all right. And those are sneaky. They don't necessarily show themselves very overtly. A lot of times those beliefs are just how something landed, and it goes in and it settles in, and we don't even really have an awareness of it. It just kind of happens. So, which is why I love RIM so much. But let's keep going, because these 3 words, up until now. Okay. Whenever you catch yourself having a limiting thought where you think, I can't do this, I don't have enough of this, or it's too late, or I should have done that. So one of the things about limiting beliefs is that they tend to start with, I can't, I should have. And those are usually indicators. When you hear them inside your head, when you receive those voices, and those sentences start, those messages start with those words, they're usually a limiting belief that's coming at you, and it is there to keep you safe, right? For whatever reason, something happened, it caused this limiting belief, because this belief now is from your nervous system saying, I have to keep you safe so that you never experience that again, right? Because that hurt, or that was uncomfortable, or that felt wrong somehow. Okay, so then your unconscious comes up with this limiting belief, so that it doesn't happen again, so that you don't experience that discomfort again. Okay, so the cool thing about that is we are more than that, right? We do have the ability to look at those limiting beliefs and say, I don't think so. Up until now, that may have been true about me or about my circumstances. Up until now, I may have believed that. Up until now, but closed. But now, and then what I have my clients do is I have us switch it now into a new belief, and we write those down, because it is proven that when we write things down, they do good things for our brain hemispheres and all the connectors up there. It does good things there. And it's also nice to have a list to refer back to. So this is something that I would definitely say, write these down. Up until now, I should have, I might have. Up until now, I didn't believe I could. Okay, so write those down when they pop up, and just kind of have the list handy, so that whenever something pops up as you go about your day, you can add to it. Or maybe even if you're out and about and something pops up for you, and now that we know what they are and what they sound like, what we can do is we can just put it in our phones. Let's do a quick voice recording, up until now, blah, whatever that is. Okay, all right. Okay, so now What we want to do is, up until now, that has been true about me. Up until now, I didn't believe that I was young enough or old enough or pretty enough or smart enough or capable or educated enough or uneducated enough. Up until now, I didn't think I deserved love without conditions. Okay, so I'm going to keep reading. Okay, so those words up until now are a powerful message to the subconscious mind. They are a new order coming in. They are saying that the order that was established in the past is no longer in power by the authority that is given each one of us in our freedom of choice, in our own free will. Now we can decide to go ahead and stay stuck in the limiting beliefs caused by whatever experience or whatever issue that has affected you, right? We can choose to stay there. I'm inviting you to come to the other side because you do have this thing called free will. And there is so much joy and peace and happiness on the other side, so much more fulfillment, so much more life. The juice of life is on the other side. So if you choose with your free will to enter into this exercise, I want to encourage you to really allow it to be an authentic experience for you. Okay, we get to choose a new pattern when we say so. We get to choose a new pattern when we say so. And that is how we use our free will. That is how we change whatever that belief is. And we say, up until now. And then I like to take it the next level, but now, and make a new decision and write it down. When the old pattern emerges, trying to give life to itself again, right? Because they don't just stop. So when it shows up again, sometimes, you know, we may have the list ready, and then we can say, up until now, it might have been true, but not now. Now this is true. We begin to establish a new pattern of thinking, and the new pattern begins to take on a life of itself. That life becomes our life. And so that is where the truth statements from the self-love boosters, right? Those truth statements, that is where those come in and join in this process, right? We now have a different pattern of thought. We now have different boundaries to what it is that we receive as truth, right? Because if the voice, the message is telling me I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, but I remind myself every day of the truth, I am significant, I am worth the effort, I am worth the effort could be, I am worth educating myself if this is something that I want, right? I am significant. I am worthy. I am enough. What if it isn't? What if there's a hidden subconscious need for a clearing of an imposter syndrome, right? And I know I've been there a million times where I think, you know what, someone else could probably do this better than I can. And so instead of, during those moments, instead of leaning into the unique fingerprint that I put on whatever it is that I'm doing, I sometimes have found myself in the past, up until now, I have found myself taking a step back and letting someone else do something that I actually initially had wanted to do. Because I think they're better at it. They have that extra piece of paper. They were able to go to whatever school, and that was better than mine or whatever, right? And so those tiny beliefs can be a beautiful opportunity for you to practice. Up until now, I let myself feel like an imposter. Up until now, I felt like I wasn't quite good enough, or up until now, I undermined my own unique perspective. Up until now, I gave way for the perspective of other people over and above my own. But now, right? So closing that chapter, but now, and then creating new patterns. But now I understand that not everyone is looking for that perspective, that some people need my perspective, and that is perfectly valid. And that is why I was given the experiences in my life, good and the bad. Those experiences were given to me so that I can come at whatever it is with my perspective, my unique fingerprint, my unique voice. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. Yeah. So quick recap. Real quick, I promise. Real quick recap. Okay, so set yourself a time to have a pity party. Let yourself feel the anger, the hurt, the frustration, all the things, right? Then go ahead and do a thought purge. Go ahead and do those leading sentences I gave you. And if you need to go back and write those down, go back and write those down. Because I do think that even if they're not exactly how you would say it, they will spur on a thought for you, a different way of saying it for you that that rings true to you and your nervous system and your intuition. So go ahead and write those down. And then after that, we do compassionate breathing. And then we do the up until now. Okay. So when you have this last statement, how I choose to support myself differently moving forward is you get to choose now. I will lean into my free will and establish new patterns in my thoughts, in my behaviors, and thereby in my life. And no one else can do that for you. But first, let's allow ourselves to feel all the things and get them out of our body. Let yourself have, if you need to grab a pillow and just, express sound into a pillow, if you need to dance, if you need to cry, if you need to do all those at the exact same time, I hear you. I've been there too. So let's start breaking down this dam that we're taught to build. And we want to unlearn the building of that dam. And so all this is over here, but we want to do it safely. So do it in this way where you have an end timeline for yourself. So when you come to the end of this time that you've set aside, this pity party time, when you come to the end of your party, close the door on all that and allow yourself to move on feeling lighter, feeling more truthful with yourself and with where you've been and with where you're at and with where you want to go. And remember this, you get to exercise your free will to create new patterns. And up until now, we maybe didn't know how to do that, but now we do. Okay, this is your step by step. And up until now, we may have been afraid to feel and express that anger. But while I've been afraid of all that, it has been piling up in my body. I may have illnesses or other issues, any kind of physical issues as a result of all that, right? And so now I choose differently. I'm going to express that anger in the way of a thought purge or run or swim or scream into the pillow or all of those. I'm going to express that anger and I'm going to allow myself to feel it so it doesn't get stuck. Remember, the water is, or the feelings are water, right? Allow it to flow. When we allow it, it dissipates naturally on its own, organically. You're not going to get stuck there. Okay. So I'm sending you love so much, and courage and strength, and I wish you a beautiful week. I wish you such a beautiful week. If you do this and you want to share, you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to hear about your experience and how it worked for you in the step-by-step process. Okay, all right, I'm out. Bye.